Welcome to our channel My Sitecore Diaries. This is the next video of a series Sitecore 10 .NET Developer Certification Exam Preparation Series Basic Competency Part 5. This will be the last part for the question set for the basic competency. I am Jitendra Ghanekar. Till now, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please click on a bell icon to get a latest update. And if you like the video, then please click on a like button. Please share the video with your friends and please provide your comments feedback via the comments. So today's first question: workflow. A workflow is a business defined process to be followed when new item versions are created. So it's a definition of a workflow. Workflow is a business defined process to be followed when new item versions are created. What are workflows made up of? Workflow made up of three things. First is a state. The basic building block of the workflow states represent the different stages in your content creation process. So whatever your content creation, there are different states are there. So that is called as a states. Commands move content items from one workflow state to another. When the command is executed, the item is moved to the workflow state and that is defined in the command item. Okay, so the second part is a command and third is a action. So actions that are automatically performed on the items when they are particular workflow states or when particular workflow commands are executed. So these are the three main important things: states, command and action. So what are the workflows made up of? States, commands and action. And there might be individual questions like what is state, what is command and what is action. So that will be the separate part. So this question contains actually the four different questions. How are workflows defined? Through definition item Sitecore/settings/workflow. How do you bind a particular workflow with a certain type of items? So specific workflow you want to bind with a certain type, like certain template. Okay, so it can be done by setting up the initial workflow in the data templates standard values. What are the some advantages of using workflow? Why we should be using the workflow? It's acquire the content approval, so it has a content approval flow. So the content which is getting published on the website is a control. Prevent unwanted publishing. Again, it is controlled publishing. Automatic numbered version. So when you create an item, it will create another version. So it means automatically numbered version gets created. Okay, so you can go back to the old version also. Content testing can be possible, and the publishing to preview target. So you can publish it to the preview target. These are the advantages of using workflow. We will be having a separate specific video on the workflow when we are doing the basic of a Sitecore tutorial. In that series, we will have the workflow tutorial, which I will be going in detail. Now I'm just discussing the question sets, okay, related to workflow, assuming you already know the workflow. What are the two consequences of the making a state final? When you make a state final, what happens? First is item can be published. Okay. Then Sitecore creates a new version when a non-admin user tries to edit it. So it's actually create a new version, new number version. What can you find in the workbox? Available workflow commands and items grouped together, grouped per workflow. So in the workbox, if you have already seen it, it has a number of it is grouped by workflow. So as per the workflow, you will have the actions which your user can perform there in the workbox. What is the point of workflow state? Write access right. To override the write permission for an item while it is in a particular workflow state. Workflow action. What is workflow action? An automatic side effect of an invoking a command or entering a state. You already have a definition here. Okay, the same definition. And what is workflow action? Then automatic side effect by invoking the command. So whenever you invoke the command, the effect which is occurring is called an action. What is the purpose of the extranet domain? Why we use the extranet domain? Okay, So to provide access to the website for a specific roles and users. So you have a Sitecore domain and you have an extranet domain. So extranet domain is basically used for the website user, the front-end customer user. So if you have a roles based website where you can log in, user can log in your website, then you can use the extranet domain. A user has been locked out by multiple login attempts by using the wrong password. How should you resolve this? So user is typing the wrong password and he is locked now. So user the unlock button in the user manager to unlock the user. So unlock functionality is available in the user management. So if you select the user, you will get a button where you can unlock the user. What is the best practice for setting up permission for a user? So user's permission should be set on the role and not onto the users. So create a roles and assign a users to those roles. So if you want to set up any permission, first create a role and then you give the permission to that roles and add the user in that role. And user is assigned to a role and suddenly has no access to the content he or she had access to before. What has happened? So I am a user and so there is a new role is created and they assign that role to me and suddenly I'm not able to access anything. What must have happened? The new role has explicit access denied for that content which overrides the granted access over the other role. So access denied take a priority in the role user's permissions. So whatever new role they must have assigned, it must be having some access denied applied. So because of that I am not able to access anything now. Which role access right will take precedence? Just now I told you the deny will take precedence. What are the two types of accounts? Users and roles. You can create users and roles. Name some Sitecore security apps. Okay. In these users security, in the permission, you can have the access where you can view the users access. Then you have a security editor where you can manage the permission. Role manager where you can create the role. User manager where you can create a user. Which user is bound to unauthenticate request to the front end website? Extranet/anonymous. What role does a user need to able to log in into the Sitecore backend? So if you want a user to log in into the CMS, what is the mandatory role which he should have? Sitecore client user. So if you must have seen this issue, if you have created a new user and he is not able to log into this CMS, it is because you are not assigned him the Sitecore client users. Can you assign a user to a role from a different domain? Yes, we can. So you have two domains, you can define the role from the other domain also. Where are access rights stored? The access rights are stored on the standard field of an item. So every item we have a standard field where the access rights are stored. What happens if an access right is unspecified? You are not specified the access right, then Sitecore will inherit value from the parent item. Okay, so you are not specified anything and it will inherit from the parent item unless the inheritance is disabled. So when you have must have seen in the security editor there is an option called inheritance. If you inherit is disabled, then it may not happen, but by default it always inherit from the parent. What is the effective permission of a user? Those defined on the user plus those defined on any role and belongs to it. So I am a user, you have given me XYZ permission and you assign me XYZ role, then whatever the combined is the effect that will be assigned to me, that will be my permissions. What role can you give access right to so that they apply to all accounts in Sitecore? Everyone. What happens if a role denies an access right and another one allows it? One role denies an access right, another, as we said before, it is denied because deny gets precedence. Access viewer, check the effective permission of an account. What are the two main security best practices? First is don't set a security on users. So as said, we should be setting up the security on the roller and avoid using explicit deny. So these are the few links which are related to users and roles. So I will be sharing those in the description as usual, as I did it in previous videos. So next question. You can build your custom index from the Sitecore indexing manager. So Sitecore indexing manager, from there you can use your you can build your custom indexes. What is the default implementation of a class to use in a search that Sitecore provides? It's search result item. So search result item stores the result of your search query. Once you retrieve the index you need, what should you do to enable a query to run against that index? So once you say retrieve the index, so you got the context of that index, what you should do to enable a query to run against that index? Set up the search context. When should you use a computed field? So when you should use the computed field? When you need to use the field that to calculate a different value to store in the index itself. So you want to some calculated values to be stored, then you should use the computed field. Why do you use an item bucket? Why you will use the item bucket? If you have a large amount of a content, so there are a lot of items within the content a tree, then it is to have a scalable solution. Author can use the item bucket. How do you use the search facets? To filter a result after an initial search has been run. So first you run the search and then you want to filter anything, then you can use the search facet. What is the advantage of setting up storage type is equal to yes in the index field? If you use the storage type is equal to yes in the index field, there is no need to access a Sitecore database to query its value. So these are the old questions. I'm not sure all the questions will be related now, but I'm just going through those old questions. It may be few questions which may not be valid now. You have a use group by clause to get a result from index, but you didn't get anything. Why? A group by clause is not supported by Sitecore Search API. When I say it's not valid, I mean I'm talking about Sitecore 10 search point of view. As we know, we have moved to the Solar now from the Lucene in the 8.9 version. So there are a lot of optimization also done. So these are the question which has come in the previous examination. So maybe some are valid, some may not be. So it's better to just go through those questions. So I'm just going through this. Okay. Which part of iQueryable implementation over a search providers are not supported? What are the things which are not supported in the iQuery? Group by is not supported, the first question itself. Aggregate is not supported, and sum is not supported. So these are the few links which you can help you to understand the Sitecore search. Yeah, I will be sharing those in the description as usual. As a developer, your company has tasked you with creating a blog survey. You have reached the final step where you need to set up a submit action for the submit button. Select the submit action that ensures that a user is navigated to a thank you page upon a clicking submit. So which action will you select? This is related to form, so you will select a redirect to a page. Selection mode. Design setting on a form element ensure that user can select more than one option. The Sitecore Forms application allows you to quickly construct a web form by using a standard or a custom elements that are record and report information provided by the contacts to your website. So these are the questions related to the Sitecore Forms. With Sitecore, you can quickly scale your website to support multiple languages, as every field on a template can mark as a unique to a specific language or shared across all the languages. So this is saying that Sitecore can support the multi-language scenario. In what order are the language settings applied? So when you have a language setting, like you can get a language in the query string. Okay, you can get in the URL, you can get it into the cookie, you can have in project config file, Sitecore config file. So what is the precedence? So first it will be query string, it will get it into the query string, then URL, then cookie, then your project for config file, and then the site config file. So this is the order in which languages get supplied. Why does Sitecore not allow the use of a certain characters in the item name? There are some character you cannot use in the item name? Why it's so? Because item names are used to form the URL. Now we must be knowing that whatever where the content tree you are creating, that maps to the actual URL. Okay, so there are some characters which may not be used in the URL, okay, which will have a different meaning in the URL. So that's the reason you cannot use the certain characters, okay, in the item name. As a developer, you are tasked with enabling item level callback to a content page to support more than one language. Which of the following steps is mandatory? As a developer, you are tasked with enabling item level language fallback on a content page to support more than one language. Which of the following step is mandatory? Specify language fallback rules and enable site level fallback. So you have to specify the language fallback rule and you have to enable the site level fallback. Why would you want to have a language embedding option set to never? What will happen with language embedding if this option set to never? That language itself will not come in the URL. So when it will happen, when we do not have any languages, so that will be better. There's no need to have a language in your URL. So that the time you can set it to never. So the site is not multilingual. xConnect currently has what two services? Which two services xConnect provide? First is a collection and search, and first is a collection and then second is the search. What happens if you forget to include html.sitecore.visitor identification inside the head of the page? You must have seen in every layout page you might be finding this visitor.identification. If it doesn't add it, what will happen? Okay, this is one of the interview question also. So all visitor will be treated as the bots, okay, and their information not stored in the XDB. So you will all the requests which are coming, it's treated as a bots, and that those will not go into the XDB. How does Sitecore track a device? How does Sitecore knows the devices? Sitecore places a tracking cookie in the browser and stores a reference to this in the XDB. Okay, so every request cookie will have there is a tracking cookie which will stored in the XDB. How does Sitecore initially identify a contact? It's actually use identify method to invoke a suitable identifier. How does Sitecore use the identity user? Sitecore analytics.tracks.current.identifier. If you pass it to email, it will give the identity of that user. How to get data from XDB? By using xConnect. How does Sitecore know you are a returning customer? This is also one of the interpretation. How does Sitecore engine knows that you are a returning customer? It calls by identity. It calls identity by method, and that will identifies whether you are the returning user or not. Describe some XDB content management system features that separate Sitecore from other systems. What are the best features of xConnect system that make Sitecore stand out? Analytics, insight, decisions, and automations. What additional databases are required when running XDB? If you are running the XDB, what are the other required databases? Collection database, you will need a collection database. You will need a reporting database. You will need a session state. Okay. When we will have a video where I will explain that how the sessions servers are used in the collecting the data. A profile card is this is related to personalization. I have not added much question of personalization. There are two questions I have added. A profile card is used to profile content. It acts as a preset of a profile keys and values used during the personalization or contact segmentation. Pattern card defines an archetype to compare with the current profile of a contact and establish which one corresponds most closely with the intersect of the visitor. There are a lot of good videos on the profiles and pattern cards. I think it's very easy to understand. Okay, so these are the two questions which you can prepare for the personalization. So there are some questions from the Sitecore support now. Sitecore support activity related. So who should you contact when encountering issues with Sitecore support? If you are facing an issue with the Sitecore support, who should be you interact? When you encounter communication timing or access issue, you can always contact the regional sales office. What is the purpose of Sitecore support package? When you create a ticket in the Sitecore support, you provide them a Sitecore support package. So what is the use of that? Sitecore can replicate the issue without access to your environment. So by using that support package, they can replicate the issue in their environment and can debug and fix the issue. What do you need when contacting the Sitecore support? If you want to connect to the Sitecore support, what are the things required? There are a few things which are mandatory. First is you should have your own credential, okay, to the Sitecore support. Without that, you cannot log in. Second is the valid license ID for the customer. So if you are working on the customer project, the issue is related to the customer license, customer site, which is using the customer license, and that license is required. And if not, and you are doing some pre-sales activity, some R&Ds, local environment, then you have a partner license. So if your company is a partner, they provide you the partner license. You use that license for some R&Ds and pre-sales purpose. So that license is required. So basically, for creating a ticket, you will need a license. A case description, how to reproduce the issue. So when you create a ticket, you have to provide a details that how you can reproduce the issue and what is the issue. Attach relevant configuration log, environment related files. Errors should be added as a plain text file. So Sitecore provides an option where you can generate a Sitecore support package. So you should generate that, and you should give more information. Okay. So these are the things which are required for supporting the Sitecore. What should you do before contacting to the Sitecore support? But first of all, before contacting to the Sitecore support, what you should do? First thing is examine the Sitecore log files. Okay, you say the log files, if there is any error warning which you can solve. Compare your config files with the Sitecore stock config files with the prior deployment. So when you do the deployment and there is a failure, then whatever the default configuration file, you compare with your deployment count configuration file. Is there any changes? Search for a solution on the various official community and documentation source. On the first question itself, where we have a documentation related links, so you search for there in the community and get the result, get the answer. Run the self-test diagnostic from the Sitecore diagnostic toolset. You have a diagnostic toolset, you can run that. If this solution do not help, reproduce the issue on the clean Sitecore environment. You have create a clean Sitecore environment, try to reproduce it and create a Sitecore support package with the diagnostic information. Why is it important to provide a Sitecore support with a reproducible scenario when submitting a support case via the support portal? Again, it's related to the first two questions only. Sitecore support needs to be able to reproduce the issue to determine a solution with a clean environment. Why should you utilize attach to process in Visual Studio when working with Sitecore? To ensure you are attaching to the Sitecore site. What is the difference between publishing and deploying? It is a basic question. Okay, what is the difference when you say publishing the website and when you say deploying the website? Publishing copies items from master to the web database. By deploying copies to your files from Visual Studio project to the web root. How can you make your Visual Studio project portable? By working outside the web root. So now I'm sharing few links like language fallback questions we had. So these are the links. There we had a workflow session. Okay, I will be giving this in the description. Okay, these are the related to XDB and xConnect. Okay, we are done with the basic question sets. So if you have any question, you can connect to my Gmail ID. This is my LinkedIn ID. You can connect to me on LinkedIn also. If you like my video, please click on a like button. Please share this video with others. Please comment on the video. Please subscribe to the channel and click on a bell icon to get notification. In next video, we will be talking about ASP.NET core renderings and headless. Thank you.